What's up, CFO gang? It's your boy Jay Tuck. Real Cowboys fans, stand up, fire. The GM Jerry is the movement. We still rocking and grooving. Today's video is brought to you by our sponsors in BetUS. Let's get to it. Now, I want to talk about something because this is a hot topic button today online. Troy AIkman. Y'all know I love me some Troy, man. I love me number 8 and Troy AIkman. He's probably one of the reasons I am a Cowboys fan, man. Troy was my quarterback, right? But he had some interesting things to say about this Cowboys team, and I'll post a link below so you guys can listen to it for yourselves because y'all got all hissy-pissy when I was trying to digest the actual audio. So y'all don't want me to recap the audio. I'm just going to let you play it and listen to it for yourselves, right? But he spoke about a few things, and I've always said this, man. Troy AIkman is a straight shooter. I always felt like Troy AIkman would have saved the Dallas Cowboys a long time ago as a GM because he is a football guy. But, you know, Jerry just didn't allow that to happen, right? But he spoke about the Dallas Cowboys, and he mentioned about our wide receiver core specifically. And he said when you go back and watch the Ravens film, which was a horrible game, I was at that game, right? That it looks like we're not giving 100% effort. Guys are not running their routes with effort. They're not where they're supposed to be. It's a night and day difference between when you watch the Baltimore Ravens and you watch the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver core. Now, I will say this, right? You know, look at the separation numbers, right? CeeDee Lamb's average about, I think, like 3.2 yards of separation. So the most in his career on his routes. But when you look at everything, I think that there is still a lot of different small pieces that adds up to the end results, right? So a lot of people's like, yo, Tuck, we're not giving effort, right? I don't think it's the Cowboys wide receiver core specifically, just talking about the wide receivers. They're not giving effort. I think the details is making things feel like they're not giving effort when you watch film. And we might do a film breakdown on this, but it's the bye week. And the key word in bye week is bye, right? But I think it's the details, right? What's the release, right? What's the effort in the stem? So the whole route tree, right? What's the effort in the stem? How are they breaking off the top of their route? So are they digging and driving off their back? Like, so all those little things add up throughout the course of the game. Now, I will say the last game you saw CeeDee Lamb trying to block a little bit more, do different things. The Baltimore Ravens game was his worst game. Now, I will say in fairness, any wide receiver, they're not giving 100% effort every play, right? That's just not happening, right? I know y'all killed Jalen Smith for saying that, right? But they're not giving 100% effort, especially when you're the focal point of the offense. Sometimes when you know the ball's not coming to you, you might take plays off. But also, that can be the impact of the minor details that's impacting the play over here, right? If you're supposed to, pull the backside safety over, but you're half-assing the route because you know the ball's not coming to you, right? It might lead to a situation where Jalen Tolbert was supposed to get open or Kevontae Turpin or whatever, right? So I do agree with this Cowboys team. It's the details. And you've been hearing Mike McCarthy say that a lot. You heard Dak Prescott say that a lot, right? Players are not where they're supposed to be, not doing assignment-based football. So a lot of people ask me, yo, Tuck, why do you think that is, right? Why do you think that we're not paying attention to the details? Is it the coaching? Is it the players, right? And this is the magical question and the answer that a lot of people don't want to hear when it comes from me specifically. It encompasses all things, right? It's the culture, it's everything combined, and I said, like, a lot of people don't want to hear that, right? They want a quick fix, right? A quick fix. But when you look at this team, how it's built from the top down, it's just poorly put together, and our foundation isn't stable, right? Think about building a house. Like, you want the foundation stable. There's no stable foundation in Dallas. So let's compare and contrast, right? Kansas City Chiefs, they have their owner, right? They have their owner in Clark Hunt, CEO, right? Doesn't do much, doesn't say much, doesn't cause a lot of hysteria, right? Met him 2 times in my life, one time at a dinner, one time at the Super Bowl, right? But then they have a GM, Brett Veach, right? You probably couldn't pick Brett Veach out of a lineup, right? He just kind of goes about things, a football guy that does his job, okay? So that's the second layer, right? Then you have Andy Reid, right? Andy Reid, coach, Hall of Fame coach, football savant, right? So you have a guy who's been around the league long time, who the players respect, who's won at 2 different organizations with the Philadelphia Eagles and now with the Kansas City Chiefs. You have that, right? Then you have your quarterback in Pat Mahomes, right? And then you have Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, right? And not only do you have the players, then you have the fan base that all amounts to it, that stands up for the entire game, that creates a true home field advantage. So you look at their foundation of what's built in Kansas City, it's a much stronger foundation than what's built in Dallas. So I feel like the biggest problem, why it feels like it's a lack of details, attention to details, a lack of effort, is we have a soft foundation, y'all. Just to be completely honest, I feel like when our players get punched, they don't respond well. And I don't know how to fix that, right? Because there's kind of like when you play football or play sports, right? There's kind of a few different ways to break somebody's will, right? You can just break their will by like a hard hit, right? Let's say CeeDee Lamb came across the middle, right? And the Ravens, let's say Kyle Hamilton blows him up, right? Punishes him, right? Hard hit. Like you feel that in your body, right? You can break someone's will off of physicality. But the way that you can also break will is off intelligence and execution. So let's say, for instance, like for our defense, if you know, okay, we have the proper game plan, right, to stop the Baltimore Ravens run defense, right? We scheme this up. We've seen everything. We are in the right spot. But all of a sudden, the Ravens are just running down your throat, and there's nothing that you can do to stop it. It breaks your will. Like, yo, I'm in the right spot. I hit the right gap at the right time. I hit my right key. I diagnosed it. I was right there in the hole, and Derrick Henry just ran right through me, and they got a 10-yard gain. That slowly breaks your will. And I feel like what happens to the Cowboys, not just the wide receivers, but as a team, our will gets broken when things go wrong, bro. When things go wrong, our wide receivers start pouting. Our defense starts pointing. Dak does the, when he like does the lip thing. Dak, stop that, bro. That stop that, bro. Like, stop all that, right? That's what starts happening. Like, there's no one who can kind of just stay firm and be like, we're fine. We're fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just there's nothing with the foundation. Everybody gets rattled. And I had this analogy in this conversation with a friend of mine. Let's say your kids are acting up at school. Right? We can blame the kid. Kid's just a badass. Kid's just bad, right? Now, some people will say, well, it's the teacher's fault. The teacher can't control the kid, which could be the case as well. So you might have a badass kid. But ultimately, you have to look at the parents and the foundation that you have, right? What's going on at home, right? So what I'm saying, we all saw Jerry Jones the other day unravel under pressure on a radio show. You're just on the radio on 105.3 The Fan. You wasn't even in the studio, and you're still unraveling under pressure. Now you have players who unravel under pressure, and this might be a case study, right? Because it's like, I just don't see them guys. I just don't see, all right, bro, we down by 15, we're down by 14, we're good, whatever. We're gonna bounce back, we're good, right? I just don't see that type of confidence. And sometimes it comes from your coaching staff, but sometimes it's something inside of you that players have to find that's deeper. So I agree with Troy Aikman on that extent, right? There's a lot of it just doesn't feel like everyone's playing with intent, right? And I feel like they get punched in the mouth and they fall. I think, now, I will say this, when it comes to the route running and the effort, I don't want to just go blindly off of Troy's word, though that's my guy, right? I want to go through the film, and we'll go through the film and kind of see, okay, what's really going on. But I would say just the effort is just not there. And Mike McCarthy has said this, and this comes down to you, Mike McCarthy, right? I'm hearing too much of a trending theme that we didn't have a good practice. We got to be more disciplined. We got to pay more attention to the fundamentals. But well, coach, that's your job, bro. That's your job. If you're not having a good practice, you gotta blow that whistle and turn things up a notch. If we're not focusing on the fundamentals, we have to change our practice schedule to make sure that we're focusing on those fundamentals. If we're not paying attention to the details, we are going to run these details over and 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 over again until you get it. That's your job, Mike McCarthy. Sit at the podium and telling Jane and Clarence, we got to do this and do that every week. That's not going to cut it, right? So I feel like when it comes to the Cowboys foundation, it's just not shaky, right? It's just too shaky. It's nothing solid. It's too shaky, man. One time I built a bar in my basement, and I kind of freestyle, right? I had the instructions, but I was like, oh, it's going to take too long with that. Kind of built it on my own. my bar in my basement's a little shaky. Don't pull the cabinet too strong, bro, because that handle's not on solid. Don't pull, it's a little shaky. So finally my wife said, you know what? Tear this shit down, bro, and rebuild it the proper way. So I had to unscrew everything, tear everything down, and rebuild it and have a strong foundation. And I feel like that's the biggest problem when it comes to this Cowboys team. But Troy Aikman, he's a straight shooter. So I know that Troy sees it. Troy's been around the game a long time, right? And I feel like someone has to hold this team accountable. And who is going to be it in-house, we do not know. But it has to change this bye week before we play the San Francisco 49ers again, man. So it's your boy J Tuck. Comment, like, subscribe. Follow me on all social media platforms at JTuck151. If you love film breakdowns, if you love Cowboys content, if you love draft content coming up soon, you are in the right spot. So hit that notification bell so you do not miss out. I want everyone to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged. And before we go, a quick word from our sponsors in BetUS. Peace. This video is brought to you by BetUS Online Sportsbook and Casino. And right now, BetUS is offering exclusive deals. So go over to BetUS, use the code YouTube150, and they are offering 150% up to $2,000 bonus deposit on your first deposit and 125% on your next two. So if you want to win money this NFL season and use free money, you cannot beat free money. Go over to BetUS, use the code YouTube150, and let's get this money game.